This sounds impossible, but deer can and do recognize individual human faces, and the deer in your yard may know what you look like better than your own neighbors do. You walk outside to check your feeder. A deer that's been visiting for months looks up, holds eye contact for a brief, calm moment, and keeps eating. Your neighbor walks out the same door an hour later, takes 3 steps in the same direction, and the deer bolts. Same yard, same door, same feeder. Completely different response. What's happening here isn't a coincidence, and it's not random variation in deer behavior. That deer isn't just recognizing the yard. It isn't just recognizing the time of day or the smell of the corn. It's recognizing you specifically, you as a known entity in its world. And the science behind how that recognition works is remarkable. Research on deer cognition over the past 2 decades has revealed something that surprises most people. Deer can distinguish individual humans using a combination of visual recognition, scent memory, and behavioral pattern learning, and the system is more sophisticated than most of us give them credit for. Visual recognition in deer works differently than in humans. Their vision is designed for wide-angle motion detection and distance threat assessment rather than fine facial detail at close range. Their retinas contain a higher density of rod cells relative to cone cells, which means they prioritize light sensitivity and motion discrimination over color and detail resolution. Within close range inside 30 to 40 feet, deer can differentiate general silhouette shapes, height profiles, movement patterns, and gait signatures well enough to distinguish one familiar human from another. They're not reading your face the way another human would. They're reading your shape, your movement signature, and your behavioral pattern. The more powerful recognition system, by a significant margin, is olfactory. Every human being produces a unique chemical scent signature determined by genetics, diet, microbiome composition, skin chemistry, and environmental exposure. This signature is as individual as a fingerprint. Deer, with up to 297 million olfactory receptor cells compared to a human's approximately 5 million, can detect and memorize this chemical profile with extraordinary precision. Your personal scent, the one you've been depositing every time you fill that feeder, walk past that window, or step into the yard, has been cataloged in that deer's memory since the first few visits. A third recognition channel is behavioral pattern learning. Deer learn timing. They learn approach paths. They learn how fast you move, how loud you are, whether you look at them or away. Over dozens of visits, these behavioral patterns become part of a comprehensive profile. When a deer sees someone who moves at your pace, from your direction, at your typical time of day, the associated scent confirms identity. The combination of scent, silhouette, and behavior creates a recognition profile that is genuinely individual. Individual recognition doesn't materialize suddenly. It builds in distinct phases across weeks and months of repeated contact. Phase 1 is initial profiling, occurring during the first 3 to 5 encounters. During this phase, the deer is collecting data. It's noting your scent and associating it with no negative outcome. Every visit where you appear and nothing bad happens is a data point that leans the association toward neutral or safe. The deer isn't yet comfortable. It's building a case file. During this phase, consistency is everything. Variable behavior on your part introduces noise into the data set and significantly delays profiling. This is why some people who interact with yard deer, unpredictably, sometimes moving toward them, sometimes ignoring them, sometimes making noise, and sometimes being silent, find that the deer never seem to fully relax despite months of exposure. Phase 2 is pattern confirmation, developing across 2 to 4 weeks of regular contact. The deer now recognizes your approach pattern, the specific direction you come from, the sounds associated with your movement, the creak of your door, your particular footfall rhythm on a specific path, and the time of day you most reliably appear. This is when you may first notice the deer not bolting when you appear, but instead pausing to assess before continuing to feed. That pause is the pattern confirmation check. You've passed preliminary screening and are in active verification. Phase 3 is full individual recognition, the threshold where your scent and presence trigger a comfort response rather than a threat response. This is the phase where the deer that knows you will continue feeding when you appear in the yard while fleeing immediately if a different person emerges from the same door in the same moment. Your presence has been encoded as a specific, known safe signal separate from the general category of human, individualized to you specifically. This phase can take 1 to 3 months of consistent calm behavior to reach, and longer if any setbacks interrupt the profiling process. How do you know if a deer recognizes you personally versus simply being habituated to human presence in general? The difference is observable, and it's significant. The clearest sign: the deer maintains feeding behavior when you appear, but adopts a threat posture or departs when a different person comes out the same door. This differential response is the definitive indicator. You're not just a non-threatening human, you're the specific known human who is associated with safety at this location. The deer approaches from the same direction and arrives within a similar time window on a consistent schedule. This means it has tuned its routing to your pattern. It knows roughly when you're likely to be present and factors that into its approach timing. This is a sophisticated behavioral adaptation that reflects genuine individual recognition rather than simple habituation. The deer allows a shorter approach distance from you than from anyone else, and you can quantify this if you pay attention over time. Deer maintain what wildlife biologists call a flight initiation distance, the distance at which they'll choose to flee from an approaching entity. A recognized, trusted human gets a significantly shorter flight initiation distance than an unfamiliar one. The deer makes brief, relaxed eye contact with you rather than the hard, prolonged, rigid stare of active threat assessment. Relaxed eye contact, brief, soft, followed by a return to feeding, is a recognition check, not a threat evaluation. Most tellingly, the deer sniffs toward you with ears in the forward but relaxed position, not pinned back. This forward ear scent check combination is the identity confirmation posture. The deer is running your scent against its stored profile. When the profile matches, it resumes normal behavior. That moment is the clearest proof that it knows exactly who you are. You can accelerate and deepen individual recognition with a few deliberate techniques, none of which require special equipment or knowledge beyond what you now have. Consistency in your own behavior is the foundational element. Show up at the same time of day. Approach the feeder area from the same direction. Move at the same pace. The more predictable and consistent your behavioral signature, the faster the deer's recognition system consolidates a stable profile for you. Variation introduces ambiguity, and ambiguity is treated as potential threat. Wear the same outer garment layer during feeder visits when possible. This isn't about disguise, it's about scent consistency. The scent profile of a particular jacket or coat becomes part of your environmental signature. A deer that has learned to associate a specific scent combination with your safe presence will carry that association into the recognition profile. Changing to a dramatically different garment introduces a new scent variable that the deer must evaluate. Make low, non-threatening ambient sounds as you move through the area. Not words, not communicative sounds, just the natural sounds of your movement. The creak of your door, your footsteps on a specific path, the sound of the feeder opening. These become auditory identity markers. The deer will begin to recognize the sound of your approach before you come into visual range. When those sounds are followed by your expected appearance, the recognition loop completes. Decrease your approach distance very gradually over weeks and months. Never rush this process. Let the deer's comfort level set the pace. Some deer will eventually feed within arm's reach of a trusted individual. Others will establish and maintain a comfortable 10 to 15-foot distance indefinitely, and that distance is still a profound expression of wild trust that very few people ever get to experience. The deer in your yard isn't just a wild animal passing through an indifferent landscape. It's a creature with memory, recognition capacity, and something that functions remarkably like individual trust. Trust it has built specifically for you, based on your behavior accumulated over dozens of interactions. It has invested cognitive resources in learning who you are. That's not nothing. That's something worth protecting and nurturing. And right now, it may know your face, your scent, your schedule, and your behavioral habits better than you realize. Subscribe and hit the bell. Next video covers what deer body language is actually telling you in real time, and most of it you've never been taught to read.